In the darkest nights, we find our light. Battered souls, but we won't lose sight. Surviving together, never alone. Through every trial, we carry on. Surviving together, never alone. Through every trial, we carry on. Surviving together, we stand tall. United forever. Strength and courage will overcome. Oh, surviving together, victorious, never, never alone. Hand in hand, we'll face the unknown.
We see you, we hear you, and we believe you. Hey, everyone. How you doing on this Saturday? Welcome to Surviving Together. It's a safe space for trauma survivors to connect and build community on their healing journeys, as well as providing trauma-related education for all. If you saw the name, I didn't make an actual thumbnail, but a picture anyway. But it's just a mental health check-in day. Got a lot of tough subjects coming up. We've covered a lot of things, some serious things this year. So I just wanted to see how everyone is doing. And I needed it. I've 1 week today. My son moved out. Took the cats Sunday last week. So I've been a week without my cats, and it's been a weird week, I will tell you. But first off, my bookshelf. Look at that. I still have my painting in the same space, which I actually have to move, but I got my bookshelf up with my awards and I got that moved over. My office is still pretty much a mess. I haven't taken care of that. Really, for me, I've been focusing on, working and just sorting through my feelings about not having my son with me. I mean, I did get to see him on Sunday and I got to see him on Thursday. It was my mom's birthday yesterday, so we celebrated her birthday at our family dinner on Thursday. So I got to see him then. And I'm going over to his house tomorrow to cook dinner and get to see his house for the first time. So I'm really excited about that. But it's, nerve-wracking. He's got a lot of responsibility on his shoulders at such a young age, and I'm a mom, of course I worry, right? And it's such a new thing for me. The place is so quiet. Um, I walk across the floor and I am half expecting a cat to go running across, for me to watch out to trip over. It's weird getting used to not having them. It's going to be really great seeing them tomorrow. I'm wondering if they're going to hide initially, if they'll come up to me right away, if they'll just kind of sniff me and then go away and be pissed. Like I had one cat, we would go away for a while and he would like be stuck to you like glue for like 2 minutes and then he would ignore you for a good amount of time, and that was like his punishment or something that we were away, and then after that, you could not get rid of him for, like, a day, right? But he had to have that period of time where it was just like, "Hmm, no, I'm upset with you. You left, and I'm not cool with it." And there was this little protest, right? It was just funny. Anyway, hey Crystal, how you doing? I got your email. Hopefully you got my response email. You like the bookshelf? Great. It's pretty bare and I've got to adjust, turn things so it looks right with the camera, but I've got something else I want to put behind me. So I'm still kind of working it out because I would really rather have this like this, I think. So I have to move the bookshelf a little bit more. I have to move me. Um, but my eventual goal, this is kind of once I get some other things done at my house, right? And so this is like a spring project, April, May project. But if you see my door right there, this bookshelf is actually, I know it looks bigger here, but it is actually just about the same width as the door. And what I would like to do is I want to put this bookcase on hinges and make it the door for the closet. So I can just pull the bookcase open and close it. I just think that that would look so cool because the current door opens inward into the closet. So I could even leave that on because I'd be hinging this bookcase on the other side. So I, it's a project, right? I mean, I know I've got other things around the house that probably get done before then, but it was one of those moments of inspiration that I went, hey, I think that'll look pretty cool. David was here and we were kind of doing some measurements, and it looks like it'll really work out. So it's, just a put together yourself type of bookcase. So it's real light. And as long as I don't have anything heavy on it, which I don't right now, to be more decorative than anything else, and be basically a backdrop for the show. Uh, I've got plenty of space in my, shelf. You guys can't see, but behind me, I've got plenty of space for actual, books and files and papers and all that kind of stuff. So I don't really need the bookshelf for that. So we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens with that. Patches was like that. She sticks to you like glue when you're gone. Yeah. Nietzsche was definitely like that. Like I said, once he had his little protest period, then he was stuck to you. So I don't know. I have no idea how the cats are going to react tomorrow. This will be interesting. Um, the idea was is that I would see my son every Sunday for dinner. I haven't seen the place, and that's why I'm going over there. And I'm going to cook him and his roommate dinner. And see the place. But normally he was gonna come here. But I don't know. Maybe we'll switch off and on. He can come here one week and I'll go there one week because otherwise I won't get to see the cats. They don't travel well in cars because they don't ever travel in the car, right? So I don't know. I mean, if he brought them back and forth, maybe they'd get used to it and they wouldn't howl so much. But my son said they cried the entire way over there, and then even for, like, a half an hour once they got to the new place, they were crying, and then they spent the next couple of days under his bed, just because it was a new space and whatnot, but they seem to have been they seem to be adjusting well now and are doing okay with it, so, um, Crystal, you're the only one in my chat here right now, and I know that, we spoke in private about what's going on with you, but I will just say that I am thrilled for you. I am proud of you, and I am just, crossing my fingers for a quick timeline for everything to work out for what you have upcoming. I really hope that it's going to help you in the long run and going to be what you want, right? You know that just changing one thing is not going to change everything, but hopefully it can take a weight off your shoulders, uh, and be one less big thing to worry about. So I'm I'm just really really sending you hugs and love and hoping for the best. I don't know where everybody is today. I know I was a little late pushing the live button today, and I didn't have a real subject to talk about. So maybe that's a little bit of why. But we have got so much coming up, and I wanted to let you know. So Wednesday of next week will be our next show, and you would think that I would already know. Oh my gosh, it's the 28th next week already. Wow. Yeah, so Wednesday of next week, we will be having Sean Smitty is his nickname. It's the name that he goes by, Smith on, and he works at a trauma-informed center for human trafficking survivors. So we're going to be speaking to him about survivor services. What do people, what kind of people does he deal with? What do they need? What services do they offer? He was instrumental in helping create a services hub. It was actually for veterans, but the model has been duplicated in numerous cities because it is this hub idea. And we've spoken with this with some other guests that we've had on. Um, I think it was Kristen Pine. I've spoken to so many people already this year. I honestly can't keep them all straight, and that is so bad of me. But I think it was Kristen Pine in Virginia. They had set up a services hub. I don't know if you remember that live, if you watched it, but they had everything under one roof. They had the legal people there, they had the services people there, they had social services there. So for like housing and getting help with, food and all that kind of stuff, everything was in one place so that people didn't have to go all across the county or the city to get their services. And it's a really great idea. And everyone I've ever talked to says that really this is the model. It's just a matter of being able to implement it, right? Because each of those services already have their main places, so they have to be willing to either um, they wouldn't be relocating in total, but at least sending, one or two representatives to be able to work there. So, a lot of it's funding, and with funding getting cut all over the place, at least, federal funds, the burden falls to the state or to an organization to be able to raise money within the community, with grants and things of that nature. Whether they're corporations or just community donation support. So it's tough, finances. If finances were not the issue, I think we would see these type of services hubs all over the United States. At least we should, because it is definitely the model to go by. So Sean is going to be talking to us about that. He's also stated he's willing to come back to talk about military sexual assault. It's called MSA, is the abbreviation for it, for our sexual assault in the military series. And he was an educator for the military for a long time before he got into working with human trafficking survivors. But also, there's going to be a little bit of a crossover because him and somebody else I was speaking to were talking about the trafficking that has actually gone on military bases and somewhat within the US, but from what I understand, the foreign bases, so the bases outside of the United States, US military bases, you see this more often. And I'm not saying that it's a common thing because I don't know. I don't know how prevalent it is, but it's interesting that you see that crossover. So I like that Sean has been doing both, and that we're going to be speaking to him about both because he's really got that expertise to be able to talk about things from a veteran standpoint, from a human trafficking standpoint, from military education standpoint, and it's really going to be interesting. Also, somebody who is going to be coming back, Mike Damish, who I just interviewed on Wednesday. He does education for the military. He's been doing it for a long, long time. And we're going to be speaking to him about that as well. Additionally, there's a gal who's coming up who's just going to be talking about survivor support within the community, how to rally our community members around people to support survivors of all different types. And she actually started in doing education within the military, and this is like around the 2000s. So we've got people who have been doing it at different time periods during the last, 25 years. And I think it's going to be a really interesting conversation with all of them to see how education has changed. What have they been presenting? What have they been allowed to present? What has the culture been? What kind of feedback and communication with the military members? Has that changed at all within the last 25 years? Or what have they noticed, if anything, that has changed within that time period? So it's that should be a fascinating conversation. I'm really looking forward to that series as well. As you guys may or may not know, I come from a military family. My dad is military. Both his brothers are military. Um, one of his brothers, his daughter is military. His son-in-law is military. That son's son is now military. So I just come from a long line of it. My grandfather was military as well, but in World War II, think draft. Don't quote me on that. Um, he never ended up going overseas, though. He ended up working here because he was kind of to the tail end of the war. So a long line, and it's just such an important subject to talk about. And I'm interviewing somebody tomorrow who is an actual survivor of MSA, and she is willing to come on and share her story and to tell us what her experience was with the military and when she reported it, what kind of reaction she got, what happened, to her, and how things kind of changed over the years. Even though she was out, there were still some changes, and that she noticed uh, in terms of how the VA, the Veterans Administration, was dealing with survivors of MSA who were coming forward, years after it actually happened. Because I can imagine how scary it would be to report on somebody who is within your unit. I mean, we know how these things go just in civil society, civilian, I should say, civilian society, non-military. That you know, even if they're questioned, there's no guarantee that there's going to be a prosecution, and even if there is, I'm not 100% up on military justice systems. So, like, if they brought charges, like in civilian society, you bring charges, but they very likely could be out on bail. And I don't know what that situation is with the military. I just realized that. So that's a big question, actually. I need to ask somebody who knows a little bit more about the military justice system than I do, at least the current one. But I hope to kick off the series with um, someone I'm trying to get. He's trying to get approval to speak on camera to us to explain when a sexual assault happens in the military. What happens? What's the procedure? How does somebody report it? And how this changed from, say, 1990 to 2000, because there was a huge scandal within the military. It's called the tailhook scandal. Some of you may have heard of it. And what it was is there were assaults that occurred, and it was off base. It was at a conference, and it was the Air Force, and higher ups knew about it, and nothing was really done in regards to it, and it really blew up big time. And that was the start, and that was in 1991, I think, and that was really the start of a big change of how the Department of Defense, which is the organization or the agency that writes all of the procedures for the military bases, for the military, in terms of how things are reported and what needs to happen and all of that kind of stuff. They have all the guidelines, and they really changed it um, after that scandal went down. Part of it was because of the scandal, but I think part of it too was just the culture and society was changing at that point. Remember 1990, we're getting away from stranger danger. We're starting to get into date rape. So, quote unquote, right? Date rape. Starting to get into realizing it's that sexual assault can occur by somebody who's close to you. And so with that sort of understanding, it was a good time, I think, for the military to take up the mantle and say, okay, because of this scandal, because of what's happened, we realize we've got a huge problem within our military culture. Things in society are changing, and they totally, kind of overhauled how things were dealt with and wrote down specific guidelines. 'Cause my understanding is what ended up being in place was much, much more robust than what had happened before. Chris, this is law enforcement is another area that abuses go unchecked in. That is true. It would be, I think, a really interesting um, subject to talk about. Finding people who are ex law enforcement. Um, I know many people who are survivors of sexual assault by law enforcement, but finding somebody who is ex law enforcement who would be willing to speak to that, hmm, I think that might have to be on my list of something that I'm just going to have to investigate and try and find somebody in in the latter part of the year. It's based on everything else I've got going on. And the difficulty I think it's going to be in trying to just track down somebody who can talk about it. Because I'm sure if somebody is currently working for law enforcement, they're not going to get the go ahead from their admin to talk about it. That would probably be pretty difficult. So it would have to be somebody who is ex law enforcement, somebody who's retired. And even those people, the blue wall is something that is real, right? And what that refers to is this brotherhood um, slash sisterhood, but even more brotherhood, really still, it's a boys' network. Um, More accepting of female cops right nowadays, but just this idea that people who are gonna stick up for each other, right? And so to talk about something that's so negative and that would be such a stain on a department um, would be pretty hard. Crystal, you know somebody. If you want to talk to that person and let them know that this is a subject that I'd like to talk about, I would love to speak to her. So feel free to give her my email, give her the rundown of what the channel is, and have her contact me because that would be great. And that's an interesting twist on it because you're talking about somebody who went through abuse from fellow officers. And I was originally thinking just about abuse that officers do to civilians, right? To either people that they are going to arrest or just come across, runaways or homeless people or troubled teens or, because I know people who have been in that situation where they have been taken advantage of by law enforcement. And like instead of being arrested. Um, so that's another interesting twist on it. So interested to talk about, yeah, abuse within the ranks, but then also abuse of officers and on civilians. So try. I mean, and try is all you can do, right? I mean, you just reach out to the person and see what they have to say. Um, I don't have my other book. Actually, I do. I've got this book right here. I could see. So I'm gonna put law enforcement essay within ranks and of civilians. Um, yeah, and if you can, Crystal, kind of keep this in my mind, right? I've got still some work I'm doing trying to get people scheduled for the March and April for the human trafficking series. And then, of course, working on getting everybody lined up for the sexual assault series. So, but I do want to fill in, in between, like I'm doing now. It and we may have other days like this where I'm just like, hey, it's just kind of a mental health check-in. I don't have a huge topic, prepared for you. There have been some things in the news that I thought about covering, but honestly, I needed a little bit of a break in regards to that. We have one date between now and the end of February that I don't have a guest on, other than last Saturday. And so that's still a pre-planned thing, but I have one open date and that's it. Otherwise, we are just going gangbusters with the human trafficking people for the human trafficking series, but also just other interesting stories and topics. Let me give you a little bit of a rundown. And I hate that they don't put it in order. I'm looking at the live schedule on the site, and I hate that they don't have it. Oh, they've got it in backwards order. That's what it is. So yeah, so Wednesday at 6 Eastern, we've got the human trafficking series continuing support services for survivors with Sean Smitty Smith. And then next Saturday, we are going to be speaking with Dr. Leah Roth, and we are going to be talking about the power of shame. And she is going to walk us through really, I mean, this is such a not key, but such a common effect of trauma for so many people, whether it is no matter what type of trauma it is, right? Shame that you were in that domestic violence situation or that you stayed in that narcissistic relationship or that you got taken advantage of financially or that somebody close to you betrayed you. And then, of course, the shame from sexual assault. So it is really prevalent across a lot of different types of trauma, right? So that is going to be a really interesting conversation. And then the Wednesday after that, the 4th, I don't have a thumbnail up, but I'm pretty sure that is the date that Tammy Renee is going to be coming back and talking to us. She was the one who we interviewed, who was raised in a cult, and she also was a is, I should say, a survivor of human trafficking. So we're going to be hearing her story about being trafficked by family. And if you guys listen to the interview that we did with Laura Kay, how common it is that this occurs, whether it's by a romantic partner or another sort of family member, parents, you know, extended family. So she's going to be telling us her story with this. This is going to be really powerful, very personal. I don't think she's ever even spoken publicly about this. So I'm honored that she is willing to come on and speak here about it. And then 2 weeks from today will be Laugh Saturday. I've got a few things in my mind planned. I don't have a particular theme yet. I've got something that I'm thinking about, but it would be me kind of taking a brave step out of my comfort zone to bring it to you. So we'll see. The Wednesday after that, Allison Jones Lockwood is going to be coming on, and she is going to be talking about um, how to engage communities to support trauma survivors. And she was involved in a incredibly successful campaign called Start by Believing. So we are going to have a wonderful talk with her. The Saturday after that, my friend Jessica Hansen is going to be coming on and talking about PTSD and generational trauma and sharing her story with us. She has worked with refugees for a long, long time and realized that she developed secondary trauma from that, just from hearing their stories and helping them through navigating immigration or whatever she was doing, whether it was in a refugee camp or whether they were asylum seekers. And then also talking about how that PTSD was kind of compounded because of the generational trauma that she realized later on was in her life. So that is going to be a really interesting story. It is what she wrote her chapter on in the book. She is a co-author with me in Begin It Now. And Crystal, I still have to mail your thing. I did get this tip from Misha about another place to mail instead of just the regular post that might be cheaper. So I'm going to check that out. And honest as with everything that's been going on, it has just kind of slipped by the wayside. So I apologize for that. Um, After that, we are going to be um, continuing along with our human trafficking series. A woman by the name of Jessica Kay is going to share her story of being sex trafficked when she was a young woman. And she has been speaking out about this and advocating for human trafficking survivors as well as just trauma survivors in general. And so, again, another powerful interview. And then the Saturday after that, I think this 28th is a Saturday, I'm going to be speaking to a gentleman who was the victim of organ trafficking. So again, continuing on our human trafficking series, and we're going to be talking about his story with organ trafficking. And then I want to bring in some information in general about the research and what I've been able to find out just kind of globally what is going on with organ trafficking, because it is this area that is known, but there isn't a whole lot of traction in this area because obviously it's so underground. So it's really difficult to get a handle on it. And it is often happening in countries where the governments aren't that interested in getting involved, right? So that will take us through the end of next month. I am getting people scheduled for the human trafficking series into March. And so now I'm also working on getting other people and just other stories, um, like having Allison Jones on, Jones Lockwood on, and having Jessica Hansen on. And I'll be scheduling those things. So again, if you guys have ideas that you want to see me cover, if you know somebody who has a particular story who wants to speak on the channel, please connect them with me. Feel free to always give out my email address, survivingtogether, SASS at gmail.com. It's in every video description, and I would be happy to speak with them. I always speak with people one on one, private chat, like this. Well, this isn't private, but private video chat before I schedule anybody for the show. Two reasons. One, just so that I can kind of assess what their story is, make sure that it's going to be appropriate for the channel, that it fits into my bigger picture of what I want to do, that they're able to, articulate what they want to say. Uh, so just to, I know some people, when I contact them they think that the first time they get connected with me that I'm going live and we're actually doing the show. And that's not the case. I always, always, always have I call them pre-interviews, right? Scotty, good to see you. She says, stay strong and please keep talking, Mac. It so needs light on all of this. Oh, thank you. I plan on it. Like I said, probably once a month have like these just check-ins. If the schedule continues to be as busy as this, um, probably have just hey, how's everybody doing? Have people had to backtrack out of some of the lives? Has it been too much? And that's personal, right? But I love kind of taking the temperature of the community, seeing how everybody's doing. And again, if you need to reach out, you can always reach out to me personally. You do not have to reveal anything in the lives, in the chats, that you don't feel comfortable sharing with everybody. So again, I think that's just an important thing to remind everybody of. Um, really digging the bookcase. I gotta say, I'm like kind of proud of it. I only moved it from one wall to another, right? It wasn't like that big of a deal, but the fact that I got it done, I'm like kind of proud of myself. So pat of myself on the back. And I did get the basement where my son was. I did get that vacuumed, and I got a few other things in there that I kind of need to take care of that he left. That he's going to be taking with him. So I'm going to move them to another room because cross your fingers, Friday, so a week from yesterday, I have a friend who has some Taekwondo mats that I am going to take off his hands. And he's supposed to be delivering those. And so I won't have mirrors up yet, but cross your fingers, I will at least have the mats. And for me, that is such a huge deal. I haven't been on a mat in a long time. Let's just say that a long time. And I think it's going to be pretty emotional for me, actually. Um, yeah, I'm really, really looking forward to it. And he's giving me an incredible deal on it because we've been friends for 25 years. And that blows my mind. We haven't been in contact, like all the time during that time period. It's one of those people you talk to every few years or, type of thing. But um, I'm really, really excited about that. And because I need to get back in shape, right? Pretty much everything on me is fat, it's not muscle. And I need to gain muscle mass. I need to get stronger. I realize even when I'm doing like a heavy duty cleaning, how tired I get. My back gets sore just from vacuuming or, scrubbing stuff for a while. And, I have shoulder issues anyway. So getting back into a routine and working out and being able to just go downstairs and do forms or kicks or things like that is just incredible. And actually, I need to talk to him and see if he has any other equipment um, that he has for sale, like the freestanding kicking pads. That would be awesome if he had. They're these huge cylinders, basically, um, that you can put water in the base and you can kick. And that would be awesome to have down there as well because I don't have anybody to hold a pad for me, right? So I'm either kicking air. I can't have anything actually to kick. And the way the basement is, I can't hang a heavy bag. I don't. The ceiling just wouldn't support it. Even if I put it into the braces, I think I would ruin the ceiling. So I don't want to do that. And there's enough room for it, right? There's enough room to have one off to the side. So that reminds me, I should contact him about that. And I need to get some pricing out on mirrors. Though it's something that is I don't absolutely need. I would love to have, but I don't absolutely need right now. Um, I need to make money to pay my bills, right? First and foremost. So this week has been a little off and on. We have had snow every day since last week for a solid week until yesterday was the first day without snow. I know some places in the region got snow. I don't know about you guys. Well, Body, I'm not sure about you, but Crystal, you've got to be freezing as well. It is so cold here. They said we are supposed to, with the wind chill, and I don't know if it's going to actually happen, but with the wind chill, we are supposed to be like negative 20 degrees Fahrenheit. So convert that into Celsius. Effing freezing is what it is. And it's supposed to be a 127-year record low as our high today, right? It is brutally cold and it has been brutally cold for the last several days and is going to continue. It is only going to be a high in the teens here, which I think is like negative 10 Celsius or something like that for the next week at least. We've got another snow system coming in either on Sunday or Monday. But I've had some pretty bad headaches and migraines because of the snow systems that have been through. So between that and trying to get used to, kind of a new norm for me, being alone here, it was kind of an up and down week. So I'm trying to plan more of a schedule. I used to have at least kind of a schedule when, my son always came home roughly around the same time. And, if I was going to do dinner, I had to do things. I don't have those now. So I know it sounds like it would be pretty easy that it's like I have less to do, but I don't have like those kind of markers during the day. And it does throw me off. It has thrown me off. Let's put it that way. So um thanks, Crystal. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to having those mats. It is just going to be, I'm so blessed that my friend has extra mats and that he is willing to sell them to me because that buying them new would just be way too much money. I couldn't afford it. I would have to get much thinner mats, probably half the thickness of these mats. These are more like tumbling mats. So bless my feet and my shins, right? So it says we are in a deep freeze right now. It's negative 23 Celsius, feels like negative 39. Yeah, which is okay, pretty similar to what we have. it's just brutal. We have so much snow, and I said this before, we have more snow than we have had, in the last 5 years, probably combined. Because when we did have a big snowstorm, it would be gone within a couple of days because it was above freezing and everything would melt. And this is just snow upon snow upon snow upon snow. I've got some friends who want to visit, and we're just like, the roads are too bad. I was going to visit my son on Wednesday, but it snowed all day Wednesday, and the roads were just horrible. The schools have been closed all week here between the snow and the freezing temperatures. They haven't opened. They've had snow days because the roads were too bad, and then couple of days they closed because it was too cold in the morning. If it's too cold, I don't know what the break is, but if it's below a certain temperature, they can't have the kids standing out waiting for the bus. It's dangerous, right? So, and if all the buses can't run, they don't hold school. So I'm not sure what's gonna be this coming up week. This is the longest in a row that I can remember school ever being closed. I don't remember it ever being closed for a week, not even when I was a kid. Um, it's just, and I haven't been keeping up on it, so I don't know if, like, the colleges have been closed. It's bad when the colleges close as well, right? Because most of the colleges are gonna stay open. But when they start closing, we had one snow day in the entire 4 years I was at university, and because most people live right there, only seniors can live off campus for one, so everybody's there. It's self-contained. It was a small school, like 1,200 people total between all 4 years, so your walk wasn't that long, even to the farthest, building um, for your classes. So, and most of the professors lived very close. Um, so yeah, one day within that entire 4 year, I remember it being closed. So anyway, I did not plug my laptop in, and it's giving me a little bit of a warning. It's still doing okay right now, but it's giving me a little bit of a warning, and it's just 10 to 4. So I've been yabbering on here for almost an hour. I hope everybody is doing well. And please, if you're not, check in with somebody, whether that is family member, a friend, somebody online. You can always reach out to me through the email. Don't suffer alone, right? Don't suffer alone. What do they say? A burden shared is burden halved or something like that. I can't quite remember the phrasing of it, but so next up, just remember my schedule. I have an interview tomorrow at noon, and then I'm going over to my son's and see his place and cook him dinner. Tonight, I am going over to spend a little time with my mom and I think do one of the puzzles I gave her for Christmas because I didn't make it there yesterday for her birthday. So just spend a little time with her. But our next live is on Wednesday at 6 p.m. That's going to be with Sean Smitty Smith. And so I'll be calling him Smitty because that's what he goes by. It's his nickname. And we'll be talking about survivor support services as part of our human trafficking series. So I'm really excited about that. You can check out his bio in the video description. The thumbnail is up for that. If you haven't subscribed, please do so. Make sure you hit the all bell for notifications. That way you'll get notifications of all of these great shows that we've got coming up through the end of February that I have scheduled so far. I do have one scheduled in June actually, because as part of one of my other series, right? I'm getting things scheduled out. So, but if you haven't hit that like button, please do so before you leave, whether you're watching live with me now or whether you're watching on replay. if you could comment, that really helps to push this out to the algorithm. I've been getting some more people who are like, hey, we can help you with making money through your channel and things like that because I've seen your channel being pushed out more. So I'm not really interested in what they have to say too much because of the type of content that I make. I'm not going to be censoring myself, censoring the content, censoring the words that I use, and YouTube's really pretty strict about that. But that does let me know that this content is getting out there a little bit more. So keep um, if you can keep on helping me get it out there, even if you just put replay crew, that'd be great. So anything you can do is wonderful. Hey, Carmel, how you doing? Yeah, trying to stay warm. That is my biggest thing. Trying to stay warm, and I've got to do something about my slider. It is off kilter a little bit. And I was told where the button was that supposedly you're supposed to roll it. There's a little roller inside this hole, and that will tilt it, will help level it or whatever. But to be honest with you, I cannot figure out how to move that roller. The hole is so small, it's like this oval that is about this long. And the bottom thing, there's a roller inside there. I can barely get my pinky in there. And I can't figure out what kind of tool to use to get that thing to move. Um, yeah, I just don't, I don't know. So I'm gonna have to put some insulation in there for right now because it's off kilter a little bit. Even when it's shut, there's this itty bitty gap, which as cold as it is right now, I don't want any gaps anywhere in my doors and my windows. Trying to keep as much heat in as possible and not have my, heating bill skyrocket. But next month's bill's probably gonna hurt just a little bit, to be honest. Well, I'm interested to see how my son's heating bill is gonna go with their house. I mean, they it's a 1920s house. The inside has been totally redone, but I don't know about the doors and the windows and stuff. If those are newer or if they're older, or, how the insulation is just in the walls and stuff. So it's going to be interesting to see how he is making it through this deep freeze. So best to all of you guys. I will see you Wednesday at 6 p.m. for continuing along with our human trafficking series. So, with that, have a great rest of your weekend. Remember, you are worthy, you are valuable, and you are loved just the way you are for who you are. Hugs and love from me. Huh? We'll talk to you soon. Surviving together, never alone. Bye, guys.
Through the fire, through the rain, we have walked through endless pain. But we stand, we rise again. Stronger now, we break the chain. Surviving together, hearts open wide, lifting each other through every tide. The past may have shaped us, but it won't define. Together we heal, together we shine. Every tear, every scar tells the story of who we are. Not just survivors, surviving together, hearts open wide, lifting each other through every tide. The past may have shaped us, but it won't define. Together we heal, together we shine. We see you, we hear you, and we believe in you. Mm.